Chilling ambient synth music begins to play. A grainy VHS-style filter overlays the screen, showing a first-person POV shot from a car windshield at night. Rain streaks across the glass. The text, "True freaky delivery boy horror stories," glitches. In and out, the music suddenly cuts, replaced by the sharp, rhythmic clicking of a turn signal. A voice, low and close, begins to speak. Closing parenthesis. Narrator VO. You see a notification on your phone? A job, an address, a payout. It's just data. It's just another door. But what if the door is already open? What if the package isn't what you're delivering, but what you're picking up? And what if the customer isn't a person? A pattern. First-person shot of a hand reaching for a dimly lit doorbell. The video glitches violently. Narrator VO. This is a documentary of a crime that hasn't been solved. A map of a town that doesn't exist on your GPS? A receipt for something you can't return? Don't look away. The next delivery might be yours. The screen cuts to black. The turn signal clicking fades, replaced by a single, distorted whisper. Whisper V. Oh, let's begin the drop. The smell of my own sweat in the car is a cheap acidic cologne. It's 2:17 a.m., and Birmingham is a different city, a series of interconnected and neon-washed service roads and inky black residential voids. My Dash Flash app glows on the phone. Mount a digital umbilical cord to my rent. The little tin of my life is running on fumes, both the car and me. A 5-star rating isn't just a pat on the head. It's the difference between the algorithm feeding me the next sludge of orders or casting me into the no-tip abyss. You learn the rules. Keep the hot bag zipped. Use the thermally lined drink holder. Don't question the leave-it door. Instructions from the dodgy tower block. Just deliver. Smile for the in-app rating. And pray the payout hits before the direct debit does. That's why I took the platinum priority ping. At a penthouse in the Apex, one of those glass and steel. Tumors that had sprouted in the city center. The fee was more than I'd made all night. The tip alone was 50 quid. The instructions were specific. Typed in the notes, door ajar. Enter. Place package inside second bedroom on the right. Do not knock, do not speak, do not deviate. Weird, but not the weirdest. The rich love their performative secrecy. The Apex lobby was a tomb of polished marble and ambient electronica. The lift whispered up to the 24th floor. The penthouse door, as promised, was open a crack, spilling cold, sterile light into the corridor. I pushed it gently. Dash Flash delivery, I murmured to the emptiness, my voice swallowed by the space. It wasn't a home, it was a show home. A stage set. Everything was shades of gray and white, devoid of personal touch, no books, no photos, just expensive-looking abstract art and furniture so sharp it looked like it could cut you. The air smelled of lemony disinfectant and silence. My trainers squeaked treacherously on the polished concrete floor.
Act second bedroom on the right.
The door was heavy. Duh. I pushed it open. Cold air, thick and smelling faintly of bleach and something else. Something organic and suspended washed over me. It wasn't a bedroom. It was a commercial walk-in freezer, humming softly. Racks lined the walls, stacked not with frozen peas, but with rows of identical premium ready meal boxes. Artisan beef Wellington. Truffled sea bass. The light was a stark, unforgiving blue. And there, propped against the center rack, was a man. He was frozen solid, dressed in cheap jeans and a stained football jersey. His skin the color of marble under the blue light. His eyes were open, frosted. Over, a single sheet of paper was taped to his chest. Not just any paper, a Dash Flash delivery receipt. My legs turned to water, stumbled closer, the cold searing my lungs. The receipt was creased, a week old. The delivery address was a pub on my old patch. The customer signature was a messy scrawl. And the driver's name, printed clearly at the top, was mine. Leo. It was from a run I vaguely remembered. Late night order of 3 pints of lager to a bloke in the betting shop next door. I'd handed them over, got a mumbled thanks. This was the man. A high, thin sound escaped my throat. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers numb. I had to call the police. But as my thumb hovered over the screen, a new notification from Dash Flash slid down client message. Order hashtag AXP-245. Do not call anyone. The police will find the security feed of you entering alone. They will find your prior connection too. The product, look in his left hand, product. He called the body a product. I didn't want to look. I had to look. I forced myself to step closer. The corpse's left hand was clenched in a frozen fist. Prying the stiff fingers apart was the most horrifying thing I'd ever done. Inside was a crumpled Dash Flash sticker, the one we're supposed to put on sealed bags. It had my driver code on it. Another message. Now you understand the stakes. Your rating is now critical. Leave the premises. The next delivery will be ready in 20 minutes. Follow the instructions exactly. Your bonus is compounding. The world tilted. This wasn't a mistake. This was a trap that had been closing for a week. He'd been watching. He'd chosen me. My need. My desperate, grinding need for a good rating. And the next payout was the leash. I ran. I left the freezer door open, the penthouse door ajar, and fled like an animal. In my car, I vomited into a greasy paper bag from the passenger footwell. I should have driven to a police station, but his words were in my head. Security feed. Your prior connection. I saw it all with terrifying clarity. Me, alone with a body I'd delivered to a week ago, my sticker in its hand. A low-paid, desperate delivery driver, perfect fall guy. The app pinged. A new order. A storage locker on an industrial estate. I went, what else could I do? He was in the app. It was in my head. He knew my roots, my habits. The next message proved. Last Tuesday, you took a shortcut down Brewery Street to avoid the lights. Efficient. The storage locker contained a heavy toolbox. The message instructed me to open it. Inside, nestled in foam, was a clean, sharp butcher's cleaver. Dark stains etched into the carbon steel near the handle. Deliver to 44 Riverwalk, derelict warehouse. Dorsey, you have 15 minutes. Traffic on the ring road is light. It was a relay of horrors. The warehouse door opened to a vast space. A single chair sat under a hanging work light. A phone was mounted on a tripod, pointed at it. A red recording light on. Note on the chair. You are here to test the frame. Sit. Wait for 60 seconds. Your compliance is being evaluated. For 60 seconds, I sat in that pool of light, knowing I was being fed live to some unseen screen. I was the subject, the product, and the courier. The messages became more personal, more correcting. Your hesitation at the storage unit added 43 seconds. Breathe. Plan your route. Efficiency is control. He was training me, framing me, photographing me. Each location was a crime scene I was meticulously contaminating. The bonus in the app ticked up. Like 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds. Blood. Money. A digital hourglass counting down to my damnation or my escape. The final order came at 4 a.m. The final mile. Collect the first product from cold storage. Deliver to the Old Dairy Holocross Farm. GPS will guide. Your performance review awaits. He wanted me to go back, to take the body. A madness took hold. A calculated, frostbitten madness. If I ran now, I was a fugitive. If I went, maybe there was an answer, a way out. The promised money that could make this nightmare stop. The need that had driven me into this, the rent, the debt, the sheer exhaustion, drove me forward. It was the only engine I had left. I returned to the apex. The door was still ajar. Freezer still hummed, wrestling the frozen, rigid corpse. Into a large-wheeled suitcase I found in a closet was a descent into a new circle of hell. It clunked against the case, grotesque parody of a folded suit. The drive to Holocross Farm was a blur of hedgerows and narrowing lanes. Dawn was a gray smear in the east. The old dairy was a low, modern conversion attached to a crumbling, stone barn. The door was unlocked. Inside was not a home, but a laboratory of crime. Whiteboards covered in logistics diagrams, delivery routes, and photos. Photos of me at my car, leaving my flat, handing over orders. Photos of other drivers too, some with red crosses over them. Neat shelves held boxes labeled cleanup, disposal, digital obfuscation. A man stood by a large farmhouse, table smiling. He was in his late 40s, dressed in a crisp, casual suit, like a tech CEO on a weekend retreat. He looked sane. That was the most terrifying part. Leo. Right on time, he said, his voice calm, warm even. Please, bring the product in. Let's close the loop. Numbly, I wheeled the suitcase in. He didn't look at it. You performed admirably. Under extreme pressure, your decision-making improved by 22%. We're route optimization, once you understood. The stakes was elegant. He gestured to the whiteboards. I've been refining a model. The gig economy is a perfect petri dish for finding adaptable, motivated individuals operating under the radar. You're not just delivering food, Leo. You're delivering trust. I simply expanded the menu. Who are you? My voice was a rasp. A headhunter, he said, smiling. For a niche industry, logistics and disposal. The world produces so much mess, it needs efficient, deniable couriers. You've passed the practical. The police are currently reviewing an anonymous tip about a murderous dash flash driver with evidence leading here. They'll be arriving in approximately 4 minutes. Panic lanced through me. Could hear the faint, imagined whine of sirens. In the static of my mind, your choice, he said, placing a car key on the table. Join me. A salary, benefits, meaningful work. Or stay and explain all this to them. He nodded at the suitcase, the whiteboards, a cleaver now sitting neatly on a shelf. The sirens weren't my imagination now. They were real, piercing the morning air, getting closer. The choice was an illusion. It was slavery or a life sentence. Ronnie bolted out the back door, into the mist-trapped copse behind the dairy. I crashed through brambles, thorns tearing at my dash flash jacket. I didn't stop until I found a disused footpath, then a road, then hitched a ride with a terrified-looking milk tanker driver, telling him I'd been mugged. I made it back to my flat as the sun properly rose. I was shaking, covered in mud and scratches, my soul hollowed out. I was free, but I was finished. I deleted the Dash Flash app. It was over. Then a knock at my door. A man in the bright yellow jersey of Arrival Delivery app, Zip Send. He held a small, neat box. For you, mate. Prepaid. My blood turned to ice. I took it, closed the door. Inside, nestled in cooling gel packs, was a human finger. It was slender, female, with a chipped pink manicure. A small note was folded beside it. Contract terminated. Performance review. Satisfactory. Severance package en route. The algorithm recommends you for future projects. Stand by for your next assignment. A high, fragile laugh escaped me. It wasn't over. He hadn't been a lone psychopath. He was a recruiter for a system, a network. They weren't in the shadows. There were the shadows between the apps, between the jobs, between the need and the payout. I threw the box across the room. The finger bounced out, landing on the grubby carpet. As I stared at it, my personal phone, the one I used for everything, buzzed on the counter. A notification, not from Dash Flash, from my email. Subject, Delivery Opportunity, Urgent Sender. Logistics Solutions, Ltd. Message, you have been pre-selected. For a high-priority dispatch, estimated fee, £200, accept. Why? And the cursor blinked on the screen, a tiny, relentless heartbeat in the silent, terrible dawn. The horror wasn't in the farmhouse. It was here. It was in the offer. It was in the rent due next week. It was in the bone-deep knowledge that in a world built on delivery, some packages can never be returned to sender. My hand, trembling, reached for the mouse. Asterisk, the fog in Mercy Valley doesn't roll in, it settles. It pours down from the pine-strewn ridges at dusk like a slow, silent tide. Fill in the hollows until the world is reduced to the 30 feet of gray pavement. My headlights can claw back from the gloom. That's my world. Sam's Deliveries, one beat-up Ford Ranger with a camper shell, and me. I'm the artery for the folks the world forgot up here, medicine for old man Cutter's rheumatism. batteries and bleach for the reclusive Garraway. Sisters, sweet tobacco, and cheap phone cards for just about everyone else. I'm an outsider, but a useful one. Been here 5 years. Long enough to know the names of the dogs that chase my truck, not long enough to understand the stories told in the low. Resonant drawls on porches that fall silent when I approach. They pay in cash, sometimes in jars of honey or carved wooden. Birds, they watch me with eyes the color of river stone, and they speak in riddles, wrapped in courtesy. Rain's coming, they'll say, on a cloudless day, and I'll later find out it means a feud is brewing. The soil's dream and heavy means don't go hunting. My last run that Tuesday was supposed to be simple. Box of groceries for Miss Ada at the mouth of Brewer's Creek. But as I was wiping down the counter, Eli Pruitt, the store's owner, cleared his throat like a rock slide. He was holding a slip of yellow paper, his gnarled hand trembling. Got a special order, he said, not meeting my eye. Needs going up to the head of the valley. Tonight I took the paper. The handwriting was an elegant spidery cursive, utterly alien next to the block print of my usual manifests. It listed specific items: a 5-pound bag of rock salt, 2 pounds of fresh rosemary and thyme not dried, 3 packs of long, rawder nails from the hardware bin, a gallon of raw honey, and a bottle of Eli's best, which meant oldest. Bourbon, a homecoming feast, Eli muttered, reading my confusion. Says so at the bottom, and there it was. For the Harlow homecoming. Payment enclosed. A small cloth pouch was paper-clipped to the order slip. I loosened the drawstrings and tipped 2 coins into my palm. They were silver, heavy, and cold, as a January creek. One bore the profile of a woman with a starry crown, the other a motif of intertwined roots. No date, no country, the Harlow place? I scoffed, though a chill had taken root in my stomach. Eli, the Harlow farm, burned to the foundation when my granddaddy was a boy. It's just briars and chimney stones. His breath smelled of cloves and dread. Sam, listen, you ain't from here. You don't have to take this run. Tell him the truck broke down. Tell him I was out of nails. Just don't go up that holler. I looked at the coins again. They were worth a month of diesel, maybe more. My transmission had been singing a worrisome song. They paid Eli. We provide. That's the job. His face crumpled. A map of sorrows I couldn't read. It is, he whispered. God help you, son. It surely is. The fog was thicker than milk as I left the valley floor, climbing the switchback road known locally as the staircase. My headlights fought a losing battle, creating a swirling tunnel I had to crawl through. Then my GPS flickered, the map dissolving into a pixelated gray void, no matter I knew the way. Until I didn't, the pines should have been straight and tall. These were twisted, gnarled together like arthritic fingers clasped in prayer or in warning. The air grew warmer, damp with a scent that was both rich and foul freshly turned earth over rotting pumpkins. My radio hissed, pure static. I checked my rear view, but the road behind me was gone, swallowed by the fog and a wall of dense, dark foliage I didn't remember passing. And then I was there. The Harlow farm wasn't a ruin. It was vibrant, pulsating with a wrong kind of life. A 2-story clapboard house, paint fresh and white, stood whole under a sky that seemed clearer here, stars glittering coldly. Golden lantern light blazed from every window. The fields around it weren't fallow. They were lush, crowded with plants I didn't recognize at all, whispering stalks with dark, nodding heads. The smell of soil and decay was overpowering. A man stood on the porch. He was tall, dressed in clothes that seemed both old-fashioned and timeless. Clean dark trousers, a suspenders over a white shirt. His smile was wide, his face handsome, but his eyes were like 2 drops of well water, so dark they seemed to have no bottom. The bearer arrives, he said, his voice smooth as oil. Welcome, we've been waiting. Others emerged from the house in the shadows of the yard. A woman with hair the color of wheat, a young man who could have been the patriarch's twin, 2 girls with solemn faces. They moved with an uncanny, fluid grace, as if their joints didn't work like mine. They gathered my delivery box without me asking, their fingers brushing mine. Their skin was cool, slightly moist. Please, the patriarch said, join us for the feast. It is a celebration. A homecoming for the one who waits in the soil. Your service as our bearer is the final thread. Panic, cold and sharp, rose in my throat. I can't stay. Long drive back. The woman laughed, a sound like wind through dry corn husks. The road is tired tonight. It rests. Come. It was then I felt a low, subaudible hum in the soles of my feet. The very ground seemed to vibrate with a sluggish, patient heartbeat. I looked back toward where my truck was parked. The path I'd driven up was now a solid thicket of thorny canes. No exit. I was led inside to a dining room dominated by a long oak table. My delivery items were already placed with ceremony. The salt in a silver bowl, the herbs in a vase, the nails laid in a cross pattern, the honey and bourbon unsealed. The air thrummed. They sat me at the head of the table. The family took their seats, their dark eyes fixed on me. No one spoke. The patriarch rose and went to the back door, returned bearing a platter. On it was a tuber, but unlike any I'd ever seen, it was the size of a human heart, covered in a velvety pale hide veined with purple. It pulsed faintly, rhythmically. The first fruit, the patriarch intoned. From the dreaming flesh of our benefactor, he took a knife, its blade black iron. As the point pierced the tuber's skin, a sound echoed through the house. Not from the family, from below. A deep seismic sigh of pleasure that shook the plates on the table and rattled my bones. Outside the window, the moonlit field rippled. The earth began to crack and part in a long, straight furrow. Something was rising, something stony and ridged, the color of old bones, wider than my truck. Segment of a buried spine, a root, a limb. I had no word for it. Eat, the family said, not in unison, but in a cascading whisper that circled the table. Partake of the bounty you have helped cultivate. Bear witness and carry the dream back to the waking world. Be our herald. The patriarch placed a slice of the glistening, raw tuber on my plate. It smelled of deep caves and fungal nectar. My mind screamed. My eyes darted to the lantern at the table's center, its flame dancing over the kerosene reservoir. Consent. That's what they needed. My conscious participation to complete the circuit, to let the dream of the land flow back into the world. Of men through me, the deliverer, the connector. I made a show of picking up my fork, my hand shaking. I let it clatter to my plate. Too dark, I stammered. Can't see what I'm eating. I reached for the lantern as if to pull it closer. My fingers closed around the hot metal handle. With a yell that tore from the core of me, I hurled it at the wall, where curtains of dried herbs hung whoosh. Fire, beautiful and terrible, leapt up the wall. The family didn't scream. It let out a collective startled hiss like steam escaping rock, or smooth attention shattered. In that second of flickering chaos, I bolted. I crashed through the back door into the field. The rumbling was louder, the thing in the earth rising faster. I didn't look. I ran for my truck, thorns tearing at my clothes. The thicket that had blocked the road was gone. The road was back, but it was different, wider, softer, like fresh gravel. I threw the truck into gear and roared down the mountain. The forest whipped past, no longer twisted but simply dark and piney. The fog had cleared. In my rear view, I saw only blackness. But the smell of loam and sweet rotten honey filled the cab, seeping from the very upholstery. I found Eli still at the store, a single bulb burning. I fell through the door, babbling the family, the tuber, the thing in the ground, the coins. He listened, his face a grim mask. When I finished, breathing in ragged sobs, he simply turned the old ledger book around and pushed it across the counter toward me. Look, he said, his voice hollow. I traced my finger down the delivery records. There, in entries spanning decades, was the Harlow farm order. Same items, salt, herbs, iron nails, honey, bourbon. For the homecoming, the handwriting changed every few years. A bold, masculine script, a flowing feminine hand, a neat, printed block in there from last year. My own clumsy scrawl for a routine delivery of canned goods that I now realized never got crossed off. Then I saw the names of the bearers, different names, till about 20 years ago. Then, it was just one name, repeated in all the different handwritings. For orders stretching back 50 years. Sam, my blood turned to ice. It don't feed on the goods. Boy, Eli said, tears in his eyes. It feeds on the delivery, on the act. On someone from the world of roads and schedules willingly crossing the boundary, bringing its ritual pieces, forging the link. You've been its chosen bearer since before you was born. Your truck. It ain't just a truck on that road no more. It's part of the ritual. I didn't escape. I realized with a soul-crushing certainty, my frantic flight was the final delivery. I had delivered myself to the threshold, and I had carried its essence back out with me. I completed the circuit. Now I lie awake in my rented trailer. The transmission hum is gone from my truck, but the engine sometimes turns over by itself in the dead of night, purring like a contented beast. Every evening, a new manifest sheet prints itself silently from the ancient machine in Eli's back office. The addresses are places that don't exist on any map. The house where the willows weep. The knoll under the three-faced moon. The gate where the creek runs backwards. And under my floorboards in the quietest hour I hear it, a gentle patient. Tapped. Tap. Like roots, feeling their way through the dark, reminding me of my route. The road is waiting. The one in the soil is dreaming, and I am its bearer. Forever.